Howdy, everybody. This is Tansuke. We are back. I know it has been a while, about almost a month at this point. So we'll here chat up Legends of Runeterra, talk about why I was out and what happened while I was out, and then we'll go on from there. So, as I've been mentioning on the last few streams before I took my hiatus, we took a break because our baby came. We have welcomed our second child into the world, and we have been taking care of her for the last few weeks. So that has been a blessing to our family, and we are super glad. And as I'm sure many people are not shocked to hear, taking care of a baby is stressful and takes a toll on you. So we needed a few weeks to kind of get adjusted and figure things out. In fact, there's even a chance tonight, if something happens, I may need to go take care of something really quick. We'll see. But what matters is taking care of our kiddos. So, what I did have time to do during those weeks was play Legends of Runeterra, and I played a lot of it because it's a game you can kind of pick up and put down and do that in small bursts. So there was a lot of time for me to do Zoe. So, in fact, as of this week, I was able to finally finish every single Zoe clear. Every single reward, all 64. So, we can go ahead and start talking about some of these. Let's kind of show off how we did. And I got a whole month of these, so we'll go through them as quickly as kind of possible. But yes. So, at the beginning of this break, I basically was saying, hey, let's go ahead and focus on doing as many hard characters as possible, ones that I think aren't the best, or could have some issues, or I don't like playing. And so Talia was on that list. Going through this run it took a couple of runs with Talia before I was able to get it going. I would say it took either 3 or 4 runs before I finally got the one that stuck. And I was even trying various things. I think I had Icon of Vol here at one point, but that didn't cut it. Getting Talia out on the board ASAP was more important. So this build with Packed Powder and Swain's Raven Army was very helpful. And then Frozen Tomb, very good with Talia. The reason being, when you play her, you can copy it, and then you can end up with 3 Talias when they pop, and then just overwhelm the enemy with a whole bunch of her spells. Or not her spell, but her level up effect, the Threaded Volleys. And so, had a couple good things. I had home turf on this, which is always fun, and then it also had capture, which was super important for the Zoe fight because, just starting out with them not having Portal King, great news. I also had Quicksand with Thieves' Gloves. Always love to see that. Being able to take away some of their keywords at critical times, and the fact that it was always in my hand was nice. Also had a pretty cool shaped stone. You always get these 2 effects here, but adding in the draw and summon on effects were very nice, just to help fill the board, to help make units stronger, to do whatever you could, build a hand. All that's very nice. After that, I said, let's do somebody rough. And Jace was rough. This build did not change. I kept this build the entire time, but it took me, I want to say, 4 or 5 runs with Jace to finally play with him. It was hard. The biggest thing that I was running into was not ending matches. Once you developed a board, if you got to like turns 3, 4, 5, you were kind of in the clear. Problem is that this, you don't always have that in this adventure. Sometimes you gotta really go fast. And so what did I do to get around that? I had perfected Monoflow, and shared Monoflow. So for those that are doing math, I had 6 mana on Jace on turn 1. Then I had Renewing Power and Lighting the Way. So what I could effectively do was play like a 3-cost spell to get Lighting the Way mana refund, then play a big spell to get the Jace or the Renewing Power activation off, and then that combined was able to just really let me slam spells. I could get several, and then if I had 6 starting mana and 3 spell mana, I could play 2 6-cost spells in a row. It was wild. to do that. In fact, if I had no spell mana, I could play a 6-cost spell. It would refund the spell mana and the full mana, so I'd have 9 mana, so I could play spells. That really escalated things. Those are the only 2 pictures I had left of Jace. Oh, come on. Oh, okay, right. Yes, I included a picture here of all the 6-cost spells. With Jace, it really matters what spells you get. I had Vengeance, but what was really good was I had this Dawning Shadow, and I wish I had uploaded a picture of it. This Dawning Shadow, I know it had coin on it, and so once I cash back, you give 2 coins on play. So what would happen would be I'd played this spell, and I would get back a coin with 2 mana, 2 coins. But because I had Chemtech, I got 4 coins, and those 4 coins doubled to 8 mana. So if I got Dawning Shadow, I basically got another free 6-cost spell, and it was disgusting. Additionally, Dawning Shadow benefits from the Elixir Sorcery to double it because it doesn't need to kill the unit to reduce all their power by 2. So it was very good in that front. And that was finally getting Jace out of the way. That one was rough, and I was losing sanity on it. After that was Gwen. I figured I'd go for someone a little easier on the hard list. I was mostly worried about her not being able to snip the enemy Nexus. When they're tough, when their Nexus is tough, you don't really get to steal any health with the dirt plating up. It was rough. So instead, I just started to run this build here. Disciple of Shadows is a no-brainer for 6-star Gwen. Black Shield is really nice too. And I got Voidborn Carapace here, and this really helped a lot. It gave me Deathless. It gave me basically permanently renewing Spell Shield, because unless they got rid of Spell Shield and played something on Gwen, if I had any of my units die, it reapplied Spell Shield. That was very nice. My support champion was Yasuo, and that actually was pretty good to give me a lot of options. Ionia has pretty good options to deny the enemy things to do. Like a Concussive Palm, for example, with the Brain Leech on it. Oh, good. I did. Did I have other? Yes, I had other pictures here. Excellent. Had some good powers. Domination, always great. And then Arcane Empowerment, it meant that I could actually get benefits from her snip. And then once the turret plating fell, it was disgusting, because then I would be doing Gwen's entire power as snips, which was very nice to heal your health up. I also had Yip's Genius, which is pretty good for the bands that you summon. I do love that. And the best defense is actually pretty good on Gwen, because it lets you use that Hallowed to really refill your unit's HP. Normally you're kind of squishy, so this was nice. Also I had a fun Shimmering Mirage here. This meant that I could have 3 Gwens on the board, and then once I had 3 Gwens, things got pretty wild pretty quick, because I could be snipping really hard. Also had a pretty nice Sapling Toss. These gloves on it was funny, and it really let me cycle my deck. Oh wow, I had a lot. Oh yes, because I had Voidborn Carapace, Darkwater Scourge was great too. It gave me lifesteal, another way that I could heal my Nexus, since the Gwen effect wasn't normally triggering every time. I also had Passage Unearned. This one's really funny to just kill all the Poros if you get the option for that. And then this one actually was clutch in the final fight. It was Homecoming, which let me get rid of the landmark on the first turn and just wail on their Nexus before they could do anything. So that was Gwen. And then this was the last run before the baby came. So everything after this was when the baby came. Literally waiting for the surgery in the surgery room. I was doing Poro King. And started this run before the baby came and finished it after the baby came. Fun. Had a couple things that were really fun here. Yip's Genius and Perfection, always great to see. I had double Yip's Genius even, so my 1-cost Poros were great. Also, the free keywords from Prey to Predator were nice as well. I also managed to draft Frosted Snacks into my deck, so that was great to have, especially because it had doubling dice. There were a lot of times near the end, because I was also running Chemtech Duplicator, that if I got to 6 mana, I would get mini Frosted Snacks, and I could frostbite a bunch of units and get really strong. My support was Taker, which is great because that's an immortal person that can always just scale and get stronger. So, and actually ended up getting Power Riff on her too, which was a great offering. Oh yes, and of course Patty Poro. He had the spatula, so he was giving my Poros +2/+2, which basically meant every unit in my deck. That was great. All right. Next, Heimerdinger. Another opportunity for me to use Renewing Power. Heimerdinger is great for that. I went bold. I took Ascension's Toll on Heimerdinger. When I level up a champion, all players discard their hand. My mindset was, hey, how about I just get rid of their cards with Heimerdinger on the board? Because Heimerdinger's going to have the option to make and play more cards than the enemy. Because if I play a spell, I'll get 2 turrets. I had perfected Mana Flow, which helped a bit too. And that was, this was a choice. I don't know if it was the best idea, but it did work. It did help that I had this beautiful Winter's Breath. Once I had 6 mana, this became an amazing way to kill their board because I could just duplicate it. It also would give me some mana, so that helped me ramp a lot of ways. Also had a fun Celestial Impact. The Grifter's deck plus the blowback is really, I think it's Unstable Formula. That was nice because I could obliterate a unit and then deal a ton of damage to something else. So that was really helpful. Sometimes I just use this to get rid of turret plating because I have Renewing Power. That means that I have the option to draft these kinds of big spells and not really pay any price. And of course, I managed to draft the MK6. Really important for Heimerdinger when you have these 6 cost spells that you're playing a lot. Drafting this is really nice, and you can see I even had the Sea's Fury, so when I played it, it was a lot of free tentacle spam. Production Surge is also funny when you're running Renewing Power because you never know which kind of turrets you're getting, but it helped me fill my hand, so it was really nice. Heimerdinger went quite well. Thresh. Thresh took either 1 or 2 tries. It was not hard at all. Very, not a lot to remember about it, frankly. The idea with the build is Oath of Guardians to fill your deck with champions, Disciple of Shadows to play Thresh on turn 1, and then the Succubus Brand to fill your board with husks. And then what you can do is, if you get another 1-cost card in your hand, you play your Wind in the Wave to get both the Prey and the Wind in the Wave. Get enough to play Thresh turn 1. Fill the board with a whole 4 husks. 3 husks, I think. And then play the 1-cost unit, and the 1-cost unit will kill all the husks. You'll level Thresh on turn 1. Oath of Champions activates, so you also get some chances for champions. And you attack with a leveled up Thresh. It's kind of a wombo combo turn 1. And I got some great items to kind of complement it. The double attack is huge. Overwhelm is great to complement the double attack. And then Spell Shield was really good on him. What got crazy was the Grander Plaza, because like I mentioned, I'm making husks. So that was quite nice, because then I could get a whole bunch of free stuff. Allied also have Hallowed, so I was really buffing the stats. The little buddies put an extra Poro in. And Cosmic Creator is always great, especially with all these husks. I was giving people all these husks an item that I could then use. My support was Spirit Blossom Mari, which is great. Means I'm drafting for plenty of spells and do weird stuff with your ally spells. And Ephemerals, which is great for Thresh anyway. The Wind in the Wings in the Wave. I actually did have the Shadow Totem, so I could summon more than one of them. Then I could end up with a whole bunch of units on the board for Thresh, so that was really helpful. And I had a 1-cost Homecoming, which with all the units I had, having the option to get rid of the landmark or a tricky unit as quick as possible, very useful to have. I also had a fun Steel Gale that had double Brainworm. So you're going to see me say it a lot whenever I cover these things. Brainworm is one of the best options you can get to deny your enemy cards. And that was Thresh. No real problems there. After that, I did Akshan. I started getting to this point I was through the hard champions, and now I'm going to these are ones that I can do, and I'm not that worried. Akshan was on that list. Akshan, he's real great. He's super strong. He can kill the board. He can wombo combo and go all out. My support champion was Samira, which was huge for this run because she also loves to buff and brush down the enemy. This Cosmic Creator was actually a mistake, probably, because I actually got Sweet Solitude twice, and I had Perfect Hex Core, and that meant that all these epic and rare items on my cards meant my cards were like duplicating, drawing things, doing stuff to the point where my hands were getting way too full, way too fast. And that actually was kind of detrimental. So be careful about picking up powers like Cosmic Creator. Even when they're great, they can come with a lot of downsides. I almost didn't get to play some important cards because my hand was full. My Samira did get quite crazy, though. You can see here having the double buffs when I play cards with Akshan's whole game plan of play cards. It's helpful. I actually messed up in my final battle against Zoe and could have done lethal, and it cost me 2 extra turns. But luckily, Akshan had enough power that that wasn't a problem. Vandal Balance is also hilarious if they play Catastrophe. I don't think I actually ever got to even play it, but having it and having the chance to get rid of a card with it would have been. Also was very important this match, actually. I got a lot of value out of Black Market Merchant. It actually stole some very important cards from the enemy, because I had plundered already that turn using his hook swing. And then also him being able to be cheap was good, because I could then play him more than once. But yes, that was Akshan. He went quite well. After this was Echo. My Echo run took 2 tries. The first one, I didn't do well. The second one, I hilariously high rolled the entire way through. There was 0 struggle in this second run here. I mean, look, I had Perfected Mana Flow and Demonic Ascension as some of my early powers. Then I had Nightfall give Echo double attack and Disarmed. Like, these powers are crazy, but then look, it kept going. This was my time trick. Look at this. Is this not disgusting? 2 sensors, an Ardent Sensor, and a Pyromantic Wake, and Heal My Nexus. I was buffing my cards like crazy. There were times where I was getting more power from my time tricks than I was from doubling the stats with the 6-star. Because I had Swain's Demonic Ascension to deal the damage to all enemies, Time Winder also became a menace. So the Time Winder, normally I believe this is 5 damage to 2 enemies. But with this Time Winder, man, with Demonic Ascension, that was 10 damage to all enemies. That was great. For 2 mana, most of the time that was super worth it. I have Sorcery. I could play a spell every turn like that. Slipstream helped me cycle my deck too, which is nice. And here's the funny thing. I had Fiddlesticks as my support, so I even had a 3rd win condition. If I had the Shallow Siren out, and I just played a whole bunch of time tricks, I could deck out the enemy. There were 2 or 3 battles in this run where I straight up decked out the enemy by just drawing them to death. So this run was something special. I also had Brainworm on Iterative Improvement, so I could take a copy of their card, put it in my hand, and get rid of a card in their hand. So that was great stuff. Man, that Echo Clear, super smooth. This one I was actually kind of dreading. I didn't think it'd be hard, but I thought it would take forever. And it's Morgana. And it did kind of take forever. But it was still a one and done run. I ended up getting Sorcery and Perfected Mana Flow. Those are both great here. Hold It is funny, especially on Morgana, where I already was locking them down, but then I could really lock them down. I had a nice Guile. Look at this Guile. 2 epic items to my allies. Beautiful. And it stuns the enemy, and it shackled them. And because I have Chemtech Duplicator, it could really stun them twice. It could shackle them twice. I also caught Bottle Constellation. If you see this card, you know you're taking it. This is no exception. We definitely take it. All right. My support champion was Senna. And she actually worked very well here because she had that Mana Crystal to refund her. So I could actually play her and Morgana early on. And that was quite helpful. She also, with these items, this was pretty good. She gave me another unit. She could scale with the Chemtech Duplicator spells. And she gave me a darkness, which I could then use to shackle an enemy. So she worked quite well. I was actually quite happy with her. I also had her support package, which included a lovely Dawning Shadow like this. Uh, Once again, with that Chemtech Duplicator cashback combination, every time you see that is a Chemtech Duplicator, that's going to be great because you know for 1 extra mana, you get basically all the mana you spent back because it gives you 8 mana for 7 mana. Beautiful. But that was quite nice. I also had Gift of Corruptions. Varus's 2-star rocked pretty well here. Giving me options to play my spells for cheaper was also quite nice. But I thought this would be harder than it was. It wasn't even hard. The Morgana rocked it. Evelynn was next, and I've actually barely used Evelynn with her 6-star. So this was kind of some of my first experience with it. I didn't change my build, and I didn't need to. I took 2 runs. The first run, I just kind of ran into some issues against, I believe it was Zoe. I lost against Zoe at the end. But I actually managed to continue to get the good stuff in the second run. I got Trifarian Might with Evelynn and Husks. Eventually, your Husks just start killing units when they spawn, which is great. Evolution is insane to pair with that because then you get a bunch of stats. And I even got Good Morning Grumpy too, which is from Talia. So I actually was able to get allies have +1/+1 and Overwhelm, which was an extra keyword for Evolution, and free stats. This was great. Also had some of the other fun stuff. I had Disarmed, which is great. I also got Lilia's power here, so my Husks had an extra spirit, extra stats, and they're always some without blade, so their stats get granted to other people. I even had Epic Escapades, and I believe the card name is Domination. It does benefit from Epic Escapades, so this is actually quite good on her. I also had a great Eris. And so what would happen with Evelynn would be I would play Eris's until I had enough. So I think I mentioned it. Did I get extra mana flow somewhere? I had shared mana flow, so I could play Evelynn on turn 1, which is great. But I needed to have a Husk to level her up. Eris came in. So Eris had Farsight Alteration and Power Riff, which for those paying attention, that means, and with this Sphere stuff, this was an infinite on turn 1. Now, this infinite, I didn't have augment, so it wasn't like I scale to forever and then hit the Nexus and win kind of thing. But what it did mean was I could summon as many Erises as I wanted, hit the Nexus to get random Husks, and then, oh no, I lost my attack token. I play Evelynn. Evelynn eats a Husk and levels up. Tempest Blade, Crown Guard Inheritance. I get to attack again. So just like that, I could level up on turn 1 and attack twice on turn 1. So this was great. Also had a lovely Spectral Surveyor, which gives me access to that lifesteal. It gave me access to the landmark removal. An excellent unit. Whenever you see explorers in this adventure, consider it for the landmark. But yes, no, Evelynn went great here. This was a great run. Spirit Blossom Ari. This is my 60th clear out of 64. I did not like Ari. Spirit Blossom Ari was not my bag of chips. She was not my cup of tea. I owe her an apology because I finally understand her 6-star. I did not have her 6-star up until very, very recently when the Spirit Blossom Champions event came back, and this kind of run really let me see what she can do with it. That was what was really great. So the biggest thing that I was able to get, I had Stabilize. So with Stabilize, if I play Ari, I get 2 Aris. With Spectral Scissors, I could duplicate a bunch of the spirits I was playing, and then get all the mana back that I spent. That was super nice. In fact, I have Archangel staff here. I'm pretty sure this was a wasted relic. If you have her 6-star, you may not even need this anymore to play big spells because you're just going to have passively a lot of mana left over. So this was actually great. loved that. I finally had fun playing her, and that was nice because I hated playing her. Getting Grander Plaza Evolution, and those always help. Disarmed Greatness Adventure, Calm Before the Storm really let me play a bunch of cards for cheap, even the big ones. That was super great to see too. Having a nice cheap crumble with Farsight Alteration for 2 mana, very valuable, honestly. And I believe you can destroy a landmark with that. Yes. Unworthy Soul was also quite nice. I had the Thieves' Gloves on it, so I could get it for cheaper, but I could also just play it because Ari can really kind of get back that mana super quick. And so that was nice. But yeah, I owe her an apology. That went well. Now, I started doing Annie runs after this, and let me tell you, those went awful. We'll get back to Annie at the end. I was initially going to say, hey, I'll save the most recent 3 champions for the 3 final clears, but I gave up. So here's Alawi. Alawi was one and done, super smooth, no problems whatsoever. I had a lot of great things going for me here. Having Inheritance with her 6-star means those copied tentacles can buff the cards in your hand really quick. Very nice. Hold them off to frostbite people, giving an epic and rare item to the tentacles. These were all awesome things. As you can also see here, I also had Scout on Alawi and double attack. This is a disgusting combination with her. And so what you can do is do a full swing with Alawi and tentacles and any other units. Alawi levels up, so you get a second attack. Then you do the Scout to do a second attack, and then you do a third attack. So you get to triple the tentacle stats on Alawi with double attack. You can imagine why this match went really quick once I started getting all that together. This one was definitely more of the champion than the powers here. These powers ultimately didn't change a lot. And to make sure I drew my Alawi, I had this monster. Look at this. 3 champion draws for 2 mana. I am guaranteed my champion. That was my Alawi. That was wonderful. Look at this disgusting answered prayers. This is what makes the Alawi runs smile. My Ash was actually really good. Look at this Ash. She had Power Riff, so I could play her for really cheap. If I played the Answered Prayer, I could play her for free because I would have drawn 3 cards extra. Extra tuning and quick attack. All this kind of meant that I could also level Ash really quickly because of her 4-star power with the Enfeebling Strike. That counts. And it counts on units right before you kill. Even if you kill them, it still counts as reducing their health, their power to 0. So my Ash leveled up all the time. So that was a fun run. After Alawi, I did Udyr. Udyr came in. Udyr was quite good. This should be a shock to nobody. This was a one and done kind of run. Managed to get the Udyr on turn 1 build with Packed Powder, Sway's Raven Army. And of course, a secret technique to double the stats of his stances. Also managed to get the blue buff, which is a wonderful thing to see because then you can get that free mana when you strike a unit. So that was wonderful. I could play even more stances without worrying. Double attack, the Shadow Totem to double it. All this kind of makes sense of you just go all in on Udyr and you just run them down like Man, Bear, Pig that you are. Also had Shaman's Call. Giving me an extra mana crystal was very nice to help me just kind of really ramp up super fast. My support champion was Nami, and she went quite well, actually. She was quite nice. Having a tune was never bad with this because you could use mana. If I didn't draw Udyr, I wasn't upset because she was playable here. I also had a fun wording stone where it was basically always free. And extra mana gems aren't bad, so I took that. My Vulpine Wanderer was also very common in there, but luckily I didn't draw him too many times. If anything, I was putting items on him so I could have a chance to cut him, and it just didn't end up happening. But yes, I ended up having 10 Vulpine Wanderers. All right. After Udyr, I had 2 champions left. I had Zoe and I had Annie. And which one did I do first? I did Zoe. Yes, I should have done Zoe against Zoe as the final person. I understand that. That is my mistake. but whatever. We did it. It took me 2 or 3 tries with Zoe, and it was I was not getting it. It just wasn't working on the first run. And then the second run I got duplicate, and then everything just kind of escalated from there. Got a ton of power. You can even see here, I didn't even have a lot of items on Zoe at the end. I just had these gloves and blue buff. But having duplicate really ramped that up, because then I could have 2 Zoes, less risk because one of them could die and it wouldn't be a problem. I could play spells for free, the first spell for free. I could frostbite enemies. I could play cards for cheaper. I really went all in on let's play cheap cards and really kind of slammed them to level up Zoe quickly. I was going for that kind of play style, and it finally worked out. Especially because I had this bottled constellation, so I could really play a bunch of cheap cards and then get all my mana back, and then do it all again. My super cool star chart, I drafted it in the adventure, so every time Zoe attacked, I got a 0 cost that would give me a rare item and an epic item. Love to see that. I also got Emperor's Prosperity with the Power Rift, so whenever I drew that, I could just quickly draw more. So that's really helped me fuel my deck, fuel my hand. Have a lot of cards to play to level her up quickly. I also had a wonderful Crescent Strike, having the option to stun enemies at fast speed and then predict, manifest, draw a champion, and invoke. Basically, it was the everything card. It was everything I needed. The only thing it was missing was being cheap, and we worked around that. Also had this Astral Projection, and because I ended up having the Lux power to refund mana, this actually got a lot of use. So I could play Zoe, get 3 mana off of Hidden Tome, then play Astral Projection to get that mana back. And so this was a very free early invoke. And that was really nice. But yeah, so we went well. Now, Annie. Annie took me a good number of tries. I was losing my mind. I couldn't figure it out. Things were not working for me. I'm not already not familiar with Annie, but we ended up working around it. But what ended up working super well was I needed Whirling Blade. But I didn't have Whirling Blade, so I had an Epic Relic this week on Monday, and I got Whirling Blade. And that meant everything fell into place. So this is the build that I think you should run on Annie in this adventure, and it is wonderful. Echoing Spirit and Whirling Blade together is insane. It lets you play your Disintegrates for free, spam them on as many units as possible, and then attack with Annie or play Annie, and then just wipe the whole board at burst speed. They can't do anything about it. It was wonderful. Oh, I loved it, doing this to the enemy. It was so fun. I also had Grand General's Counterplan to put an extra Disintegrate into my hand every turn. I had Annie out, which was helpful. It also put Annies in my deck, so I could really cycle them and kind of control the enemy that way. And so I also ended up with Embrace the Current, which meant all my 1-cost spells, my Guiles, even the free Disintegrates, were giving me mana back. So I could then just keep spamming spells all the time, stabilizing to get more Annies, and then the free attack meant I was doing a bunch of free little chips. Oh, this was so good. And then near the end of the run, I ended up getting Brainworm on Disintegrate. So not only was I wiping their board, I was killing their hand, I was drawing, and I was refilling my mana. This was a disgusting run. Once again, Emperor's Prosperity to draw more cards. Always get this thing. If you have Power Rift, this is a free card. Take it. Also had a lot of stuff on Death's Hand. I was tempted to cut Death's Hand, but I'm glad I didn't. It ended up working out pretty well. It also gave me a chance to play some big cards, which was helpful. And yeah, this was my final clear. With it, I am now finally at 64 out of 64. This means that I have now finished all the rewards for the Zoe adventure, and I no longer have to see this massive scroll down every time I go through. See, hey, fastest run and most healthy run. So, where does that leave us on the stream now? So for the last 3 months, this has basically been the main thing I've been doing. try Zoe runs or practice for Zoe runs. But now we're all caught up, so I have a couple options. I could get every champion to level 50. I could clear every adventure with every champion. I could go into troll builds and troll runs. I could also stretch myself and try Defiance. Or I could try to beat Zoe with 3-star people. I can tell you it is not going to be that last one. So what I'm going to be doing going forward is we're going to focus more on builds, going to focus more on in-depth on champion. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to do something akin to spinning a wheel, and I will clear every 5-star adventure with that character. So that would mean doing Zoe, but I've already finished Zoe with everybody. Finishing Nagakoboros, finishing Viego and Fiddlesticks, and then it would also include doing the Lysandra and the Swain adventures. And then down the road, we could always look at doing more adventures beyond that. But for now, I'm mostly just thinking World Adventures and Nightmares, and then we'll work our way back to whichever. Whenever a new adventure comes out, we'll focus on clearing those people first. That way we can, get them out of the way, but also get a lot more fun with the new adventures. So, let's see. What do we do now? I figured, since I finished Zoe, let's do a quick little... Oh, God, that's not good. Let's do a quick little tier lists. 2 things. I wanted to summarize for everybody that wasn't here the whole time, wasn't following the whole time, what it was like to run these adventures and how they went. So I figured I'd summarize 2 different things. The first one that we'll start with is how my runs went, and then after that, we'll look into a general tier list of power for this adventure. So without ado, let's go ahead and begin here. I won't be able to see chat. That's not good. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, cool, that worked. Okay, now I can keep seeing chat. All right. Oh god, that's stream on stream. Ew, ugly. Okay. All right. I've already gone ahead and put all the people that didn't have a constellation here because I didn't do them. If you are welcome to do them, I will not stop you from doing them. Feel free. That's up to you, man. You could do that. But I'll mostly talk about the ones I did. Aatrox. Aatrox was hard for me. It took me a couple tries. I'm not familiar with the Darkins, and knowing which ones to play and how to play them and how to do everything perfectly and the little techs you can do with them. There's a lot of surprise nuance to Aatrox, but I couldn't pull them off. So I ended up just gonna get rid of this ad. I do. Oh, perfect. Let's go. Oh, no, wait, that didn't do it, did it? Yes, it did. Cool. Let's see if I can do that. I'll have to do. We'll kind of move it a little. There we go. I just didn't want to have an ad on the screen the whole time, you know? All right. Aatrox was rough. Definitely don't recommend it. But, you got to do it, what you got to do. Ahri. Super easy. Her gameplay style is all about ignoring what the enemy does and just killing their Nexus anyway. So I would highly recommend her. She's nearly best in region, if not best in region, for this reason. Yeah. Akshan. I did Akshan in a single try, and I would say it was pretty easy time. Didn't really struggle with him. The ability to play a bunch of cards and just go infinite really helps in this adventure, and you have a lot of time to draft for that. So this was an easy time for me. Ambessa, super easy and super fun. So her 6-star is super good in this adventure. A lot of adventure battles in here have that one big unit, and Ambessa just gets rid of it. So having the option to get rid of it and potentially get rid of 2, maybe 3 units in one turn between the midnight raids and the rallies, super helpful. And so like they played Catastrophe, and I didn't care because I killed it immediately. So this one was great. Nivea, sadly, goes in the pain tier. I believe it took me 4 or 5 tries with a Nivea, and I was losing my sanity. Not because I was just bricking. I was bricking a Nivea in the first third of the adventure, where she is unequivocally at her weakest. And once you get steam like going through the adventure, you start kind of steamrolling things because you start having more and more elemental stuff that really helps. But I wasn't able to find it. It took me 5 runs or something like that, 4 or 5 runs, until I got Kennen as my support, and then everything went smooth after that. I finally had an elemental skill, I had an elemental champion, everything kind of went through, and ultimately it did work. If you draft an elemental champion, Nivea's great. If you don't, she suffers a little bit until she gets running, and then she is super strong late game, but late game is not always available. Annie is also in the pain tier. I could not make her work. A lot of the relics that I'm seeing people use when they're clearing with her are like Steering Brilliance or Deck of Destiny or Emotional Support Bear, or I even saw was it Zorix Drakehounds. I didn't have anything like that, so until I got Whirling Blade, I was working with scraps, and like what I had was just not cutting it. Annie was arguably the hardest champion for me to play with until I got Whirling Blade. Then it was a one and done. So if you have Whirling Blade and Echoing Spirit, she's really easy, but until then, that was really rough. Ashe. I mean, it's Ashe. There's people putting on Defiance here just to buff the enemy units so they can one-shot the Nexus faster. Ashe is super easy in this, and she's like Ahri. You ignore what the enemy does, and then say, "Oh, I got 4 mana and a third of your Nexus in power. I win." Triple Gatebreaker. Aurelion Soul. This shouldn't even be a shock. In fact, I'm going to put him higher up in there. We're going to move Akshan down because he wasn't super easy, but he was still easy. Easy time. Like, just play big units, play a bunch of champions, one shot the enemy, get a bunch of stuff. It's great. He was super powerful. And so I didn't struggle with him at all. And most people won't either. Azir, also a one and done. And I'd probably put him here. I high rolled super hard, but it wasn't like super crazy. Like, I'm not going to put him in the variant gameplay group. But he play a bunch of champions and massively attack. I used Fear Cleaving Axe and Double Star Gem, so I could play a ton of the Shreeman champions, and then that really just kind of escalated everything from there. So that all went great. Maybe I should. Caitlyn. Caitlyn was actually for me, I believe, if she was medium. It was either, it might have been a single one and done for me, actually, but I'm putting her in the medium just because I know that's not always reliable with her. And so it's gonna, yeah, she went all right. And it was not like super easy. I don't remember like blasting through it, but I actually did her in like my first 20 or 30 clears. So she was pretty reasonable with that. Darius. I was expecting Darius to be very rough, and he was in the easy tier. There's a reason that when you see his 2-star power in this adventure, you just take it. It's an amazing power. Having the ability to attack twice makes so much difference here. So Darius went super smooth. I didn't struggle at all with him. And if it took me 2 tries, I don't even remember the first. I think it took me 1 and done. Echo. I've talked about him on the stream already. Echo was super easy. Having the ability to get big units, very helpful. Having the ability to draw a ton of cards, super helpful. And what I drafted with Fiddlestick support was insane. Like, this was just a pretty easy run. My Elder Dragon, I believe, was also a one and done. Not hard at all. This one was very easy. You just draft a 6-cost champion. My support was actually Darius. a Super Darius with double attack, and then I just kind of wailed on people with them. It was great. Go for it. If you see it, if you're Elder Dragon, take a 6 cost champion, because if you have Starforged Gauntlets, they go down to 4 cost. You can play them on turn 1, get 4 souls, play Elder Dragon turn 2, massive swings. Elise, I mean, you bum rush the enemy, you kill the Nexus on the first turn. The only time I wasn't killing on the first turn was pretty much like the very, very ends of the adventure where the units suddenly get a little wild. But even then, it was not a problem. She was fine. Evelynn, I'm going to put her into medium. And the only reason I'm saying that is you do need to make sure you get a chance to play Evelynn. If you don't play Evelynn, you don't level. Echoing Spirit helps a lot with that, but then you also need to have a husk. So it was actually, you know what? This is how my runs went. My runs were kind of easy. I did actually manage to get through it without much problem. Fiddlesticks. My first run with Fiddlesticks was bad because I didn't have perfection, and then my second run was really easy because I did have perfection. So I'll put him in medium as a yes, I got one of the best powers possible. So yeah, that worked out well. Gwen took 1 clear. We've talked about her already. Heimerdinger took 1 clear. Talked about him already too. For both of them, just stick to their game plan. I got them great powers, great support. Everything worked out. Made it all happen. Alawi, 1 and done. No problem with her whatsoever. I got some fun little powers and supports for her, but the big thing was real good items in Alawi, because if you're not playing Alawi, you're probably going to lose Alawi. Jace is in pain tier. It took me so many tries to finally get the right combination of good 6-cost spells and the ability to survive long enough to play them. Once I hit that combination, the run was easy, but it took me several tries to try to get through that. That one was rough. It took me good number of tries. Jhin took me 3 or 4 tries, which is not characteristic of Jhin. Most people will say that Jin's usually like really strong and he's one of the stronger controllers. I just couldn't make him work. It took me a lot of tries to actually get through this with him. So unfortunately, yeah, I had him in the hard tier. I know he's stronger than what I am showing here, but my lack of proficiency with him was really showing. And I think that's going to be what a lot of like this lower tier on this list is, like this hard and pain group is going to be. I'm not as familiar with the champion, and I'm not going to play their way, and I don't know all the nuances to play perfectly. Or in Anivia's case, I didn't get draft lucky, but like those kind of come into play. You know, sometimes you gotta get used to a champion, and this adventure forces that. Jinx take me 1 or 2 tries. It was either way. Got through it pretty quickly. Didn't run into any issues with her, even though people might now. This was before the Guardian Angel nerf, so that was a little helpful for me because then I could just kill my Jinx and do the reset thing. Now you need Deathless and like a way to get Deathless back, unfortunately. So it might be harder now. So yeah. Kai'Sa, super easy, 1 and done. Just draft strong keywords, use her 6-star, blast the enemy down. She becomes an amazing blitzer at 6-star, and that really works well here. Kayle, I'll put her in the medium tier, because it wasn't easy, but I did manage to kind of pull it off. I think I had Renekton as my support in the run that worked. Kayle eventually can do good. She just is. She scales. She needs to scale a little bit, and that's a little dangerous in this adventure. If I had her epic relic, it would be funny because I did some counting just today thinking about it, and near the end of the adventure, you'd have like 20 power Kayle on turn 1 if you could play her. So that's a little wild. Leona took me 3 to 4 tries, but my final run went super well. So Leona does do well when you can get the thrice bound power if you were going for this run. I would consider resetting for Thrice Bound. That went so well to have Ravoon Daylight Spear out on turn one that it just escalated everything. Once I hit that, it was super nice. But since it took me a few runs to hit that, I'm putting it into the hard tier. Lilia, no problem at all. Just smack the enemy. Do all kinds of wild crap with Guardian's Orb, Stalker's Blade, whatever your poison is. It's wonderful. Lex took me one or two tries and wasn't difficult. She is one of the people that can run Arcane Comet super well, and unlike Jace, does not require epic high rolls to do what she has to do. So it went super well to just blast the enemy with a whole bunch of spells. Lux Illuminated, I'll put her in medium, but that's because I was stupid. My first run, I decided to try to get rid of all my 1 and 2 costs so I could always draft the Lumina Sprite. And then I ended up bricking myself too hard. So the second run, I went and did the opposite, got rid of my 4 or 5s and some of my 3s, and all of a sudden, wow, hey, the champion themed around blasting people with a bunch of units and support units worked. Who would have thought? Mel, I cheated. So she is the first person in the variant gameplay. I should explain this grouping here. The variant gameplay is where I didn't follow conventional rules or logic. So, for example, drafting an infinite, or in this case, drafting an alternate win condition. I had Rise. Rise with 6-star Mel is an incredibly good support option. It worked super well. So if you see Rise on Mel, go for it because it became a Rise run. I had Wild Inspiration in Rise, so I was just perpetually getting all the runes. It's disgusting. All right, Misfortune. I believe it took me 2 runs with Misfortune. I'll put her at the top of medium, but I think she, if you follow the same strategy I did, it'd be a lot better. Go for a spell focused Misfortune instead of a unit focused Misfortune, and you'll do well. I ended up doing I think it was Found Fortune plus a couple other things. The Found Fortune ended up being really valuable, and Loaded Dice just to get some strong powers. Definitely look into that. Morgana was easy. You just make the enemy not able to do anything. Then you just need to make sure that you draft a way to take care of Zoe at the end of the adventure, because if the units are there, they block you from damaging the Nexus. So you just got to make sure you draft a Challenger, silencing, or baiting them, obliterating them, killing them some other way. You got choices. Make sure you have them. Nasus took me 2 tries, but both tries I got all the way to the end with almost no effort. Nasus is very good into these modifiers because he comes with disarmed. That's so important in this adventure. Having the ability to reduce a triple powered unit down is so impactful. And so that's why I'm putting him in the easy time, is I didn't struggle with him getting to Zoe both times. Just the first time I just couldn't close it. But the second time I did, it was not a problem whatsoever. So yeah, put him in easy. Nautilus. I think this is going to be interesting, people. I had an easy time with Nautilus. It was a one and done. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I drafted Echo as my support. It took me 2 tries. But I was able to draft Echo, and Echo is the perfect support for Nautilus. He does literally everything you need. Support, whole bunch of units, draw. Echo is amazing. Go for Echo. If you see him on Nautilus, you will not be disappointed. Neeko, I owe Neeko an apology. I thought Neeko was going to be harder than she was. Echoing Spirit plus double Guardian's Orb was the build I used, and it was great. It gave me everything I could do. I filled the board with Neekos, and then some of them would have Rally on. If I got the Rally item on them, I'd just chain attack over and over until Pop Blossom wiped the board and they died. It's wonderful. Nora was also a one and done, and was not hard at all. Managed to not even struggle a little bit because I got a good power of, I think it was Spellslinger. And so the Hidden Tome build where you just kind of, an Echoing Spirit, where you just play a bunch of Nora, get your deck going, and then spam that card. If you get a portal, you summon a champion, you refill your mana, and then you just play as many portals as you can. It went super well. Nunu and Willump, I'm putting in the hard tier. It took me a good few tries to get it going. I think it was my 4th run that I finally beat it. But I wouldn't say it was pain. But it was rough. It took a good number of tries before I could finally make Nunu and Willump work. Pyke. One and done. I did not struggle with Pyke. I think a lot of people struggle with Pyke. If you're struggling with Pyke, look into Stack Deck. Stack Deck is it helps a lot of stuff. And don't forget to draft free strike, free attacks. Those are going to be so valuable for you on the turns that you don't have the attack token to secure your scaling. Definitely go for it. Samira took me 3 or 4 attempts as well. I finally managed to make it work at the end. And but it was rough. It took a good number of tries to get that going. So Samira, gonna put her in the hard, but I did manage to clear her. Set, super easy. Super easy. He works super well in this kind of adventure. Try to find some mana, get to 6 mana, and then you just pop off and do crazy crap. Shyvana managed to do her in I believe it was either 1 or 2 runs. Was not hard at all. Managed to work out through that pretty well. Definitely go for it. Death Foil is fun with Echoing Spirit on her because you can do attacks without fear and then get those free confronts to give your units those barriers. Soraka. I could not get Soraka going. In the run that I like, if you get past like Jinx Draven with Soraka, you're going deep. You've solved all her problems at that point. But I just couldn't get past the first, I couldn't get past the Zerarelia a lot of times. I was struggling getting blitzed down before I could really get the healing engine scaling. And so that was a lot of the times I struggled, was that. And I like Soraka. I think Soraka is actually quite strong, but I just couldn't do it. And so, yeah, she has to go there. Every Spirit Blossom champion is going to go into the easy time tier except for one. And the reason is because they are all Giga busted. Or Spirit Blossom Kindred. Sir? Is she not in this list? Did I put her in this group on accident? No. Where is she? Weird. Oh, there she is. All Spirit Blossom champions are overpowered. There is no getting around this. They are just strong. And all of them took me only a single try. They all worked well. The only reason that all six of them are not in the easy time tier is because my Teemo run got weird. I got perfection 3 times and wounded prey. So what ended up happening would be if they played a unit, I would deal with more than 1 health, I would deal 10 damage to it. And what was that run? It was quite crazy to do that. So I would definitely say I did not have the fairest shake with Teemo because I high rolled so hard with him. But I know he would have been easy. I would have had him in the easy time if it wasn't for that. But I giga high rolled with that. Swain, I did my first attempt on Zoe completely blind with Swain, and I beat it. Not that hard. He's good for a reason. Top of the game for a reason. Yeah, he went quite well. Talia took me a few tries. I'm gonna put her in pain because you want to draft enough landmark support to level Talia quickly, but you also want to have units, and she really struggles at getting units out. So it was painful to level her up and win the game and get deep in the run. So I'm gonna put her in the pain tier, but it was a toss up between pain and Horo King. It was so easy I could do it when my baby was being born. Just kidding. But jokes aside, Poro King works well. Just his 6-star. I've seen it described as you get to a free level to Poro King effectively from the get go, and that makes sense. It was really good. His 6-star is super helpful to scale, so yeah, it's great. Thresh was a one and done. He's super strong. Once you have a 6-star and you just start scaling your units massively by having your units die, so you just pump your deck to kill a bunch of units on the first turn, and then you start with 15 Thresh, and then some support champion comes out of the deck. A lot of power, so easy peasy. Yeah. Tryndamere, I have him in medium. It took me 2 or 3 tries, but mostly because I was trying to get over my own hubris. If you're the kind of person that's trying to play Tryndamere as the fish through your deck for Tryndamere with Call to Arms, you're probably going to struggle with him in this adventure. Don't do that. Play to your support champion, find something effective, and work with that. Don't try this gambling with Tryndamere thing. It's not gonna. I quickly gave up on that, and then things went super smooth. Twisted Fate. I mean, I one turned Zoe. It was disgusting. Udyr, tons of power. He's actually really strong. If he wasn't competing with Ashe, I'd say he's probably best in region even at 6-star. But he's still incredibly strong. Go for him. He's gonna be good. And I had an easy time with him. Vayne was hard. It took me many tries to get Vayne to work, even with the ideal build. Just she was so fragile in the beginning. You get captured, you get frostbite, you get killed outside of combat. All that can be rough. And so I just ran into issues with that. But once I did get a run to work, things went well. But I'm gonna say it was hard until then. Vex was one and done. Not even a struggle on her end. She laughed her way up the mountain, calling everyone cringe. She just slams spells. You have so many chances to get strong and OP spells on the adventure for her. Stuff like Bouncing Bomb is really good on her. It's really nice. Vi, I drafted an Infinite Vault Breaker, but I got all the way to Swain before I got the Infinite Vault Breaker. Without much issue, Rhythms of Despair is actually really good on Vi. Give it a try, guys. Rhythms of Despair Vi was really good in this adventure. And it bought me the time I needed to draft the answers to win the rest of the adventure. So is it really bad? Quite well for me. All right. Viego. I barely even remember clearing with Viego. It was that easy. Viego's one of the best champions in the game for a reason. You can kill units, you can steal units, you draft super strong. Baby's upset. Victor, I'll put in the easy because it took me 2 tries, but the first try I was using a suboptimal build and they made things rougher for me than it had to be. Volibear took me 1 try, no problem. He's really good at killing units. Killing weak units and then using that as a springboard to summon strong units. And this adventure says, hey, would you like 2 or 3 free kills? And then Volibear goes, yes, I would. So he is incredibly well tuned for this adventure. Definitely look into him if you get a chance. Warwick. I'm going to put him in easy. It took me 2 tries. The first time I was trying Stalker's Blade and I just didn't have enough control. Swapped that to Wicked Harvest and things went super smooth after that. Warwick is really good into this adventure because he gets a lot of free ticks of damage. Yasuo was in pain. Just kidding. He was near the top. Yeah, I mean, you stun the whole board. Who would be shocked, Stun the board and win. He's good at that. Yuumi, I'll put her in medium because I was tinkering around with new builds and new choices. But her ability to use Succubus Brand is super nice. Because I could actually summon Yuumi on her own instead of attaching, kill units, get big husks, start of my turn, make the husks as big as my biggest unit, and then give those stats to another unit, which just continues the cycle. And you get a really, really, really big unit. And finally, Zoe. We are putting her in hard. You got to find the right options and the right way to draft. Let's go ahead and ban this person. Oh, perfect. Ban. Nice. All right. Zoe, you got to find a way to draft the stuff you need super quick and figure out how to get there. Because without it, it was definitely a struggle. But then once that went well, things went well. So we are a little top heavy in this one because some of my runs I just got good luck. Things went well. But this is what I have. Guess we're bringing back the ad here. Actually, I guess we don't need to. Maybe. Yeah, we can fit everyone on the screen this way. Yeah. So this is how my Zoe runs went. It was actually quite smooth. And there were some fun runs. There were some not so fun runs. There were some weird runs. So here's for the people that like to look at the end, like here it is. I guess my hands are pointing the wrong way. Here. There you go. This was a fun adventure for me. But yes, this is how that one worked. All right. We talked about what went well, what didn't go well. Well, I got rid of it. There's no ad this time. Let's just focus on the generals. Now that we factor out, okay, I got lucky or I didn't get lucky, let's take that out of the equation and talk about how people will do in general. Now, as per all things that are like this, you should always take the opinions of whoever you're listening to with a grain of salt. You may be more familiar with these champions than I am. And if you are, you may be doing better with them than I am. I may be doing better with champions than you will on certain ones too. For example, I have a very high success rate with Pike and Nautilus, and I know a lot of people don't. So that's because I play a lot of them and I have a lot of familiarity with them and I have a lot of fun with them. So, as always, what you know to play, you may be better, you may overperform here. And what you don't know to play will probably underperform because this adventure really punishes you. So, let's talk about Zoe general tier list. I have 4 tiers here. Should do well. Should be okay. Will require some skill and luck. Will require a lot of skill and luck. I put these general things here because it's easier to sort them out. Just kind of to summarize, like, should do well always implies there's a chance things don't go well. Like, you can have a rough time. All right, let's go through this sucker. Aatrox. Aatrox is going to require some skill and luck here. You got to get the right stuff to get him going quickly, especially like discounts. And then once you do, he can work out well, but you really got to get Ahri. Ahri's great. You run her standard most powerful build, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. Go for it. Akshan, you should be okay with Akshan. Near the end of the adventure, you'll find that you can go infinite. You just got to get there to that end of that adventure and figure all that out. Mbessa. Mbessa should do well. She's very strong. Her power is very good at 6 stars to get through this adventure. I should clarify for this tier list, everything is considered 6 stars. If you do not have a 6 star, this can radically change, so keep that in mind. Anivia, if you get an elemental champion as a support, especially a cheap one, she's like should be okay or should do well. But that is alone a lot of skill and luck. A lot of luck. Because there's not a lot of support champions that have elemental base kit. You're looking for what? Janet, Neela, Annie, Kennen, stuff, Volibear, maybe a couple Freljordians, stuff like that. So you got to get some luck. Once you get past the support champion, things go really smooth. If you're going through the adventure, I'd recommend even like just putting the adventure until you get a good elemental support champion, and then try a run from there, and you'll go a lot smoother. If you're using the build I was using with Annie, should be okay or should do well. But until you get that, like I would have put her here. So let's split the diff and put her into will require some skill or luck. If you manage to get if you have her really good build and you have all that stuff, it's still a new rune. It's still a new epic relic, Whirling Death. So, but this is like we'll consider everyone with their best in slot. I'll put her in should be okay. She should be okay once you got good stuff. Ash, she'll do well. You just do a triple Gatebreaker and then one shot the Nexus and figure out a way to kill Zoe and Poro King at the very end so you can one shot their Nexus. Brilliant Soul should do fine. Play big units, play a bunch of champions, win the game. This should not be a surprise to anybody. He's one of the OPS champions in the game for a reason. Azir, you should do pretty well. Just be careful. There's a couple things with them that can be kind of rough. Until you get your items on Azir, you kind of just working with base relics, so be careful until then, but you should do well. Caitlyn, I am very familiar with Caitlyn, so I would put her in should be okay, but I understand that she's not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm going to put her in will require some skill or luck. If you're familiar with Caitlyn, she definitely moves up a few tiers. Darius, you should be okay with Darius. He gets a bad rep, but in this kind of adventure, it's right up his alley. Get some strong units, play strong units, win the game. Echo, moving him up in there too. He'll be pretty high in there. That's so interesting. I'll put him near the top. It should be okay. I don't think you should have a hard time with 6-star Echo. Doubling the stats is very helpful, and sometimes you just gotta learn to let your Echo go so you can play a stronger Echo. Once you get over that hurdle, then you'll do fine. Elder Dragon, I'm gonna say he does well. I did not have any struggles. You get to play a bunch of big, powerful units, and those souls are great. Elise, you should do great. You get really strong spiderlings. You just put keyword soup onto Elise or your support champion and win the game. They're great. You're gonna be fine. Elise, you should be, or Evelynn, you should be okay. You really got to make sure you get a good way to play Evelynn early and to get value off her. And ideally, you want a support champion that's easy to level up to. Just because you want every level up as much as possible, but those steps help along the way. Fiddlesticks, I'm actually gonna put in he's one of the best champions in the game. I'm gonna put him in the will require some skill or luck tier because if you don't have perfection, he's rough. Now I had perfection in my clear, so I had no problem kind of laughing my way up, but you got to get perfection for him to be really not struggle. And so just because you need an epic power, I am going to put him in the shit will require some skill luck. Run loaded dice on him because that's going to help you a lot try to get that. Gwen, I'm going to put her in the skill luck just because it is going to be rough until you can draft some solutions around that Nexus plating. You'll have a big Gwen, but you won't be healing a lot until the Nexus plating is gone, and you gotta have units to survive. So be careful with her. Heimerdinger, I'll put him in the some skill luck tier. I don't think he's too bad. I think he just is going to require understanding, and a lot of people don't like playing with him, so they don't quite fully understand. I didn't struggle with him at all going up the mountain, but a lot of people I think will. Alawi, we put her in should be okay. You'll do fine with her. All the battles that you draw Alawi and all the battles that you don't draw Alawi, you might die. So just draw Alawi every match. If you draw Alawi every match, you'll be fine. But that's why she said should be okay, is because you should draw Alawi. Jace is going to require some luck. I'm going to say it. Yes, I'm not familiar with Jace's game. Yes, I understand he swings hard. At the end of the day, there were some matches where I was just suffering, and it was hard. It was so hard. So I am definitely putting him into, you got to get some luck. in order to get through, because that was brutal. Jin, I'll put him in the should be okay tier because I'm not the most familiar with him, but everybody I hear says that he's really, really, really easy to climb this with and control everyone with. And I just don't understand it personally. But I can understand that I should listen to the wisdom of crowds here and move him up one tier above where I would otherwise put him, which is should require some skill luck. Personally, Jinx, I am gonna put Jinx right next to Fiddlesticks, and I know this is heresy, but I think that Jinx was hurt pretty badly by the Guardian Angel nerf. She would have loved getting Deathless plus Guardian Angel to infinitely spam the Nexus for a bunch of hits, but you don't get that option. You also want something like Get Jinxed or Perfection to damage the Nexus as well, and that also requires some luck and skill. So I'm definitely gonna say like Jinx is a bit rough here. Both Fiddlesticks and Jinx, the adventure was kind of tuned with them in mind, which means that it's rougher for them. Kaisa. I think you should do well with Kaisa. You just spam all the keywords on Kaisa and then play a bunch of units, and then like I run Gale Force full build, so I could activate Evolve immediately, and that's helpful. Kale. If you draft Fiora, you'll do fine. You'll win. It's like the fastest win speeds are Fiora, but that's luck. In fact, I'll move her around here. Like, you need to get the right early game complements to help supplement your strong late game. Or get Fiora. I didn't get Fiora, so to me, I'm going to say this requires some skill and luck. Leona, I'll put her near the top of should require some skill luck. She's strong once you have options. And again, if you are looking for an easy run on Zoe with Leona, grab Thrice Bound and reset till you get Thrice Bound, and you're gonna have a lot of fun. Because Thrice Bound is super good with her, and that made my run hilariously easy. Lilia, you should do well. She has so many different options, so many different ways that you can do what you want to do, that it shouldn't be a problem. Lux, kind of the same thing. You have a lot of options. You by default come with like an easy arcane comet use that you can just get rid of the turret plating. Super effective. Lux Illuminated, I'll put her in should be okay. Some people might struggle with her. I do miss the Luminous Sprite having random keywords, but I understand why they don't anymore. But just get your support spells, get your cheap target and ally spells, buff up your allies, and then kind of wombo combo the enemy with a Crown Guard Inheritance double attack. Mel, my barometer's well off. I'm gonna have to kind of guess on this one because I did Rise with her. So I'll put should be okay. You don't need Rise. You have plenty of options. Find a good spell and just start spamming it. I guess something like Make It Rain would be funny with her, for example. Just find good spells and play her, and you'll be fine. But I had Rise, and Rise was fun. MF. I'll put her also in the should be okay, but like higher up. I'm moving it down because I don't like Whirling Blade made it easy, but until then, I still have residual anger. MF is good. Go spell focused in this. Don't go unit focused. I think the spell focus helps a lot in this adventure. Just to help stuff like more control when they attack. That's the biggest problem that MF would have. Is just, oh, I didn't kill him in one turn. Oh no, I'm gonna have to block an attack. I don't want to lose a lot of stuff. Bunch of Make It Rain solve that problem. Morgana should be fine. Yes, the Zoe fight's hard at the end, but you have all the adventure to draft for that. She'll be fine. Nasus, I'm gonna put at the top of should be okay. I think he is literally the gatekeeper. He will have no problem getting to Zoe if you know what you're doing, and you just find a couple different ways to do what you want to do. Disciple of Shadows, Grand General's Counterplan, Frozen Tomb, however you want to get Nasus on the board, do it. I think he'll work fine for you. Nautilus. There are many people that would say he's like down here. I'm gonna put him here. Uh, and then people that are saying, "Oh, why are you putting Nautilus that high up?" I'm gonna say skill issue. Run stack deck. Look for draw cards. Those are the two answers to Nautilus, and then you just get a whole bunch of draw, a whole bunch of power, and then you summon a bunch of units, get massive, and swing to win. But if you're not used to that, then you might struggle. So I understand that. Nico, you should be fine with Nico. She's good. She's powerful. If you have, did I just move my ringer up on accident? I did. If you have Echoing Spirit, then you kind of just run like double Guardian's Orb or Guardian's Orb Fear Cleaving Axe or whatever you want to run on her. She's got a lot of options. You can kind of build her the way that you want to build her or what the powers are letting you do. And Nico works well. Nora, I'm debating between should be okay and will require some luck, so I'll put her at the top of should require some skill luck. Having a bunch of units is great with her, and I run Corrupting Star Fragment on her, so having those units and then consuming them to make a massive Nora was super helpful. But I understand for a lot of people, like your big units are gonna have like maximum like 10-10 power, and that doesn't sound like a lot. So that can be rough. Just make sure you play very smart with Nora, and you'll be fine. Nunu and Willump. I'll put them at the top of what require a lot of skill and luck. I did struggle with my Nunu run. It took me 3 or 4 runs with him to get it going. I think for a lot of people, it will continue to be that kind of problem too. As the deck adventure goes longer and your deck gets bigger, the snowballs get more dispersed at the beginning. But yeah, it can be rough. Pike. I put him right next to Nautilus because there's a lot of similar opinions. Get stack deck, get free strike blade to do free attacks, and you'll be fine. Get a bunch of units. Get support champion that only has units, and you'll be fine. Samira. Samira was rough for me. I'm gonna put her near the bottom. Uh, you really got to figure out how to damage and chip the enemy nexus to activate your plunder, whether that's by going like elemental winds or additional ways to damage the nexus, but you got to get some answers before you can even start rolling, and that's some luck. Set, we're back to should do well tier. He's incredibly strong. He's not the top of Ionia because that's probably Ari, but he's in the contention for it. Ionia has a ton of good champions. Set is no different. Shyvana, I'm going to put in the should be okay tier. She's very strong at 6-star, and the ability to summon a whole bunch of them is very helpful. Soraka should require some skill and luck, unfortunately. I love Soraka. I love playing her. But getting past that first third of the adventures is rough. So you do need that sometimes. So getting Soraka big helps a ton. Then once you've solved that problem, everything works out. Every Spirit Blossom champion I am putting in the should do well tier. Yes, even Evelynn. Yes, even the people that I didn't like before this. They are all incredibly strong. Every Spirit Blossom champion is nuts, and some of them are like I put like Master Yi like arguably near the top. He is incredibly strong. He's one of the strongest champions in the game. But all the Spirit Blossom should do well. Spirit Blossom is just plain strong. Swain, even though the adventure was designed to counter him, should do well. He still continues to be strong. You still get the Swain's Raven Army to activate very early, and that's not a problem. That helps him a lot. Talia, you need to get some defenses to help survive, and so I'm going to put a lot of skill luck there. You have to really understand Talia and how to be aggressive and do what you got to do. Oro King should be okay. Scale well, everything goes above Jhin. He'll be fine in this adventure. You shouldn't have any issues with him. Just remember to get them poros big, fresh, kind of the same thing. Just kill your own dudes. Once you've killed your own dudes enough, your units become super strong. Run with the champions to get a bunch of champions in your deck, and then you'll be totally fine. Tryndamere requires some skill luck. You got to get like a good support champion to really kind of figure out what to do, and then from there you just build them up on there. So I'll put a little bit of skill luck there because if you fall for the bait of trying to get like Tryndamere Roulette, you're not. Twisted Fate should do well. He's very strong control. He's one of the stronger control people. Those gold cards, those red cards are amazing. The blue cards are great. Every card's great. He'll do fine with them. Udyr's also strong. He's very powerful. He can use those powerful stances to block, kill, stun, basically everything. He does it all. He's just competing with Ash for top of the region. Vayne. I swear I struggle with Vayne too much to not put her in this tier. I gotta do it. I can't put her higher than this. You just gotta get a little bit of luck. You gotta get some items on Vayne. You gotta get her spell shield or something. You just gotta get a little bit, just a little bit of help. Death Boy or Shadow Totem, stabilize. You gotta get something. Dream Woven Spirits. If you get Dream Woven Spirits, you're golden. But you gotta get something. You just have a lot more options than like this tier down here, which is why she's up there. Vex should have no issues whatsoever. Draft strong spells, and the problem is solved completely, and then you laugh your way all the way up. Vi, man, near the end of the adventure, it does feel like Vi requires a lot of skill luck. I actually drafted it infinite in mine, and so that made it super well. But I really feel like you just don't get enough power quick enough to really make it worth it. So I would definitely say it requires a lot of skill luck. But I think Vi has a bad rap, and I think she's better than most people would say. But yeah, I think it's rough for her. Diego and Victor, I'm just gonna say the same thing for both of them. They're both incredibly strong people. They both know what they want to do, and this mission doesn't really change that. So you'll be fine in this adventure. Volibear should do great in this adventure for you. There's plenty of cheap units for you to kill. It should never be a problem for you to do that. Warwick, you should have plenty of ways to kill and damage units, so I'm going to put him up and should be okay. Just because people are not quite familiar with it. Just remember, focus on little tiny ticks of damage to enemies, not to the Nexus. Yasuo should do well. Yasuo is Yasuo. He's going to continue to stun people forever. Yuumi should be okay. You just want to make sure you build up a bunch of you either build up a strong unit if you're not running the Succubus brand. If you're running Succubus brand, you just focus on getting as many husks as possible. So dealer's choice on how you want to do that, but you got two options with her. And finally, Zoe. I'm gonna put her either in some skill luck or a lot of skill. Let's go a lot. She's rough. You got to draft answers and salt and get strong stuff. Like your strong units are nice from invokes, but they're just not strong enough. So it's quite rough. But yes. So this is the my personal tier list for Zoe Adventure. Anyone in any tier is mostly going to be roughly equal, and this is no different. So here. All right. Okay, so those are those done. That was all the time we have. I've been hearing my baby cry a bit, so I should probably go help my wife, my poor wife. We are going. Right, I should probably switch here. Next week we will look into doing some adventures, or the like, with a random champion. But for now, I'm going to send you guys over to. We're gonna go with Kibby. And send him my best, and have a wonderful evening. It has been awesome having you guys here today, Yeah. Here we go. Start raid. All right. This has been Tansuke, and catch y'all next time.